welcome to the Third Degree Masonic Podcast, where we are always on the level. I'm your host, Brother Samuel.
And I'm your co-host, Brother Gaberial.
And Craftsman, we have a really cool episode for you. Brother Gabriel and I are currently sitting in the lodge room here at Genoa, and we are getting ready to go to our annual communication, a.k.a. Grand Lodge of Ohio 2024.
In Dayton, Ohio.
So we are packing up all of our equipment, and we are getting ready to hop in the truck and take the 2.5-hour drive down to Dayton?
Yep, down to Dayton.
Down to Dayton. I'm sure we'll see some cool stuff on the way. We're going to pick up some snacks, and we're going to make our way there. And we are actually going to have a booth sitting at Grand Lodge this year.
I know, it's going to be great.
It's going to be pretty sweet.
We're taking the podcast on the road for once.
And for one, I feel like because of how things are going, I feel like we need to give a shout out straight from the get-go to our sponsors, because I don't think you and I would be going down to Grand Lodge without the help of these guys. First off, we have masongear.com. You need to check these guys out. He has sent us all kinds of cool things to give away to our guests and to give away to people coming by. He sent us these really cool hats. He even designed a couple of hats that have our logo on it. So perhaps maybe we can do something with that in the future.
They look incredible.
They're amazing. And all kinds of cool stickers. So if you get the chance, you should check out masongear.com. But other than that, we also need to give a shout out to Genoa Lodge number 433 for sponsoring us to go this year. We really appreciate you, brethren, and we hope we'll do you proud.
We hope so, because I've got the dubious distinction of being a voting member at Grand Lodge this year, sitting in the east. I carry a vote with my lodge. No proxies this year, but I carry one vote for all of the... We've actually got some pretty interesting stuff on the agenda this year for voting on at Grand Lodge, so it'll be interesting to participate in that.
Absolutely. Well, and it's also going to be cool because we will have all three of our principal officers this year,
So, now that we've finally taken the podcast on the road and we're heading down to Dayton, we hope any of the listeners who are attending Grand Lodge will stop by, talk to us, and have a good old time with us. But we also hope that we get a lot of interviews from other brothers and other participants of Grand Communication this year. And we're looking really, really hopeful to that. We're looking forward to that. So, Craftsman?
Absolutely. And also, just so you guys know, this episode might be a little bit longer than it usually is, and it also may be a little patched together a little bit weird because we have zero clue on who's going to come up and talk to us. So just bear with us. It might not be the most refined piece of audio you've ever heard in your life, but we'll do our best.
We may have guys walking around. We may have guys who just want to sit on for 5 minutes and talk. We may have guys who want to talk for 30 minutes. Who knows?
Who knows? And on top of all of that, we're also going to be in a major convention center, so there's going to be a lot of things going on behind us. So,
absolutely. So, Craftsman, we hope you'll tune in as we get into what we will call Stories from Grand Lodge.
Perfect. We'll see you there.
Tune in, Craftsman. Welcome back, Craftsman, to the Third Degree Masonic Podcast. Thank you for rejoining us. Joining us today is Hayden Hunt, the State Master Counselor of the Order of DeMolay for Ohio. Welcome.
Hi there, brother. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great here at Grand Lodge. Has this your first time at a Grand Lodge?
No, this is actually my second Grand Lodge session. I attended my first one last year when we were... Where was Grand Lodge last year?
Oh, I wasn't able to make Grand Lodge last year, so I was... I'm unfamiliar with
Kalahari. Kalahari,
okay.
Where Grand Lodge was.
Okay, it's going to be there next year, too.
Yep.
Kalahari.
Popular spot for DeMolay, too. Winterfest is there every year.
Mm-hmm. I had a lot of fun being at Winterfest in DeMolay. So, I think that is why we have gravitated to seeing you, because we see the DeMolay booth set up here at Grand Lodge, and I just have to ask you, what is it like being State Master Counselor for the year?
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work, but, the young men of Ohio DeMolay make, every mile I travel, and every night I'm away from home, worth it. So we've been positively growing the past couple of years. So we're right on track for year 2 of positive membership growth overall, and right on track for year-over-year growth for 2 years in a row as well.
Well, that's great, and I'm glad to hear that DeMolay is succeeding, because the craftsmen who are listeners will know that DeMolay has quite the spot in the hearts of myself and Brother Wilburn. So, I just have to ask, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go into your DeMolay career.
Sure. So I am from Columbus, Ohio, on the west side in a town called Hilliard. I attended high school there. I've lived in the greater Columbus area my entire life. I'm currently on a little bit of a sabbatical from school, but I'm studying business administration and marketing.
Very nice. What do you do for fun?
I love to hike. I love to work out. I play guitar, so music is a big passion of mine.
Good.
But also just service to others. I work in my community as well with other organizations.
Well, I can tell that's why you're high up in the DeMolay chain of command then, because those are the values that are really exemplified through DeMolay.
Most definitely.
So it's an honor to have you on. So tell us a little about your DeMolay heritage. Like, when did you find out about DeMolay? What drew you to DeMolay?
Sure. So my mom actually got me involved with DeMolay. She was a rainbow girl here in Dayton back in the 80s. And when I turned 12, she got me involved, and I wasn't at a great place, but I kind of went along with it anyways. I got involved with Linden chapter in Columbus, my home chapter, and it's been history. I was master counselor in my chapter at 13 years old.
Nice.
Earned the past master counselor meritorious service award, and went straight into district service, traveled all around the state with the state officers. And this is currently my 5th year on the Ohio State Council.
Oh, wow. That's quite the repertoire. I didn't ever go into state office or district office. My experience with DeMolay was very local, because our area kind of ebbs and flows with its membership in DeMolay, and I was in kind of a turn down point, so we were kind of struggling to hold it together, and I wanted to focus on just that. But I've got to ask, are you a Chevalier? Yeah.
I am a Chevalier.
Wonderful.
I am actually a past Grand Commander of the Central Ohio Court of Chevaliers.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
But yes, myself and Brother Wilburn are both Chevaliers, and we're very proud of that. And it's helped. Not only has our experience in DeMolay laid a good foundation for us in Masonry, it's laid a good foundation for us in life, just in general. And I think it's something that the young men of this country really need nowadays, is to have a good foundation and a good way to show them how to succeed in the world.
Most definitely. And DeMolay's values are not only timeless, but more important today than they ever have been, because being true to one's values and principles is something that is very, very much needed in an ever-changing world such as today.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to see you guys here at Grand Lodge, and I'm glad that Grand Lodge is having you here. Does your home lodge that sponsors your DeMolay chapter, are they really engaged with you guys? Do they keep good tabs on you to make sure that they know that you're welcome?
They do some for us, but they don't do a ton. No.
I think I don't think that's ever intentional, because I think I've met some Masons who don't even know that their lodge sponsors a youth group like DeMolay or Rainbow or something. And I think it's an untapped resource of where the fraternity could gain so much by having much more active support in DeMolay rather than just behind the scenes support. But on the flip side, it is kind of the goal to foster the responsibility of the DeMolays of like, hey, we're not going to organize your meetings for you. We're not going to plan events for you. This is your guys' ball game. You've got to learn how to do this. But the lodge needs to like always have the DeMolays at social events. Always be like, if DeMolay is having a recruiting event, the lodge can be broadcasting stuff like that. I think personally that's the way to go.
I agree. I think that a lot of lodges don't understand that DeMolay or Job's Daughters or Rainbow for Girls isn't a liability in their building, but really a resource, because not only are they able to help with upkeep of whatever building they are in, they're able to help with cooking, serving dinners, community service projects the lodge is working on. If you're in parades, setting up floats, or marching in the parade with the Masons, the opportunities for a good relationship between a Masonic body and the Masonic youth are endless. And there really isn't any reason that every Masonic body shouldn't have some kind of relationship with their local Masonic youth.
Oh, absolutely. So, I know you have the hefty title of State Master Counselor on your chest. So there's not much more you can do in DeMolay, but do you have goals going forward?
For my Masonic career?
For DeMolay career, for Masonic career, for your own personal career?
Sure. So I am serving my second term as State Master Counselor right now. I will go out in July of 25. I plan to take a little bit of time off, but then I plan to become an advisor and get involved at my local chapter in Columbus. Masonic-wise, I plan to finish out school first, but I am a Master Mason at York 563 in Columbus, Ohio.
Very good.
And I plan to progress through the line and eventually, hopefully, rise to the east.
And as the purple of DeMolay has rested upon your shoulders, maybe the purple of the fraternity may rest upon your shoulders at some point.
One day, maybe. I've got plenty of time to figure that out.
Hopefully. Well, we're all hoping for you, and it's been great to hear from you and great to meet you, because I don't think we've ever had a chance to meet before now.
We have.
But thank you for coming on the podcast and talking about your experience in Grand Lodge and your experience with Masonry. So everything we do on this podcast has been meant to archive stories, get Masons and DeMolays to tell their story. And we always end by asking the guest to come up with words of wisdom for either future Masons or Masons who are just starting, or in your case, in my case, future DeMolays or DeMolays who just may be starting. What kind of words of wisdom would you give to these brand new Masons or brand new DeMolays or guys who are thinking about joining?
Sure. For any DeMolays who think about joining Masonic Lodge, the biggest thing that I would recommend to them, or really anybody who's looking to join a Masonic Lodge, is go and meet the brothers. Explore the lodges in your area. For me particularly, as I was exploring lodges, there's 6 different lodges that meet at the building where my lodge currently meets. So it's important to meet the brethren and see where you feel welcomed. And also, take your time. Do some education between the degrees, take the time to really learn what is happening and not just regurgitating what's coming at you. So take your time, and DeMolay is a sprint, but Masonry is a marathon.
Absolutely. Craftsman, we hope you've enjoyed this interview. Brother Hunt, thanks for being on, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your time at Grand Lodge this weekend.
Thank you very much, brother.
And we are back with brothers David Daugherty and the godfather of podcasting himself.
I don't know how I
Chad
get that name, but I'll
Kopenski.
take it. Sure. So
As long as I don't have to kiss a ring, I'm okay.
He's got many.
I only have 2.
So how goes the Grand Lodge experience so far, guys?
Really? Actually, so the reason why I come to Grand Lodge is basically to see all my friends. It's not that I don't enjoy the legislation and the reports and everything, but really it's, I don't know, it's like the Coachella of Ohio Masonry or Burning Man. You get to come and you know that you're in a room full of really good people. Most of them you may have seen at some point or know at some point.
I know.
And if not, at least you can meet some new people. Like it's just, yeah, I get to spend a weekend hanging out with
It's just a good time.
It is.
You can't beat it.
I was trying to find a way to into the Grand Lodge session, and I got a little lost. And then Dave texted me and says, "I'm here, come find me." And we found a very comfortable place to sit. So,
But don't tell anybody where
No,
it is. We
God,
don't want to
no.
lose it.
Nope. So yeah, we just sat up there, enjoying the session so far.
We ended up being in the top row, so we can just look straight down and nobody notices that we're there. It's great.
Right. Well, yeah, you just watch the monitor.
It's perfect.
You got to get in Dayton. You got to get to the end of the rows because if you're in the middle of the row, there's never enough room.
No, and you're not getting out to go to the bathroom.
Nope,
when you
not
need
at
to.
all. Not at all. You can also stand, in the little like vestibules as well. So every Grand Lodge has its own little idiosyncrasies. You got to find places to be.
Yeah. Yeah. All I know is that Masons and men were much smaller when these places were built.
Right. No kidding.
Yeah.
So, what lodges do you guys belong to?
I'm a member of Washington Lodge, number 17 in Hamilton, Ohio,
Okay.
And
and the Ohio Lodge of Research.
is that it?
I'm an honorary for Jefferson Lodge in Middletown. I attend a lot of other lodges, but no, I only have the one membership.
Okay. Paramuthia 25 in Athens, Ohio. Ansville 278 in Ansville, Ohio. Malta, I don't remember the number. Or no, Valley. Don't remember the number. Malta, Ohio. Oregon 151, Oregon, Wisconsin. Ohio Lodge of Research.
Yeah, I have multiple memberships in lodges of research.
Right.
I'm members in Tennessee and Missouri and Illinois and
Right.
so forth. But
I was going to ask you,
honoraries yet.
how do you keep your lodge dues cards in order? Alphabetically?
they keep sending him bills.
Right. Well, okay. So one of the fun things, I guess, is, when was the last time you were asked for your dues card besides today?
Besides today, never.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so,
Yeah.
I think outside of Grand Lodge, I was asked for my dues card actually once. But yeah, so keeping them straight. Yeah, just about the bills.
No problem.
Whatever checks you end up writing. So
No, the only other lodge I ever considered being a member of was my father and my grandfather were Masons in West Virginia. So I had thought about becoming a member there. But in West Virginia, you can only be a member of one lodge.
Oh,
If you join a lodge, you have to demit from other lodges. So
really?
yeah,
You know, it's
that's yeah. And other jurisdictions are the same way. Yeah, that
Wow.
their belief is that you only need to be a member in one lodge.
oh, that's funny.
And it kind of makes sense because you're a member in one, you can attend any. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if you want to support,
Yeah.
others?
Yep.
So
so I wasn't willing to give up my Ohio membership just for the nostalgia of being a member of my father's
Right.
lodge. Yeah.
I would like to join. I thought about joining Arts and Sciences only because I like the guys there, and I know they're all our friends, but I just haven't joined there.
So, what is it about masonry that brings you guys back? What do you love about it?
The food.
The food.
For me, it's just always learning something new. I'm like I said, all my memberships in lodges of research kind of illustrate that. It's just always trying to see what is the new idea. And one of the things I find fascinating is going back 100 years or more and reading the transactions and finding out all of these great new ideas that we think we have been around and we still haven't solved the same problems.
Not at all.
So with that hope that one of these days we're going to find the solution to one of those problems.
Yeah, but then what would we talk about?
We got another 100 years of
Oh, that's
talking
right.
about how we solved it.
So the question was, what keeps you coming back to masonry?
Yeah. What do you love about it?
It's
Oh,
the
gosh.
people.
I mean, yeah, it really is. I mean,
It's
the
the
thing
people.
is, I would say both Dave and I would say that we've been really lucky. Like people keep asking us to do things. And then when we go and we do things, we meet some really just great people, and it's, yeah. And it is those interactions with those people that that make it fun, that make it worth going, that, will make you get in the car and drive 3 or 4 hours. And, I always joke that masonry is all about meaningful connections because it really, to my mind,
Asterix,
it is.
Rob Brower.
Rob Brower, yeah, the Brower Count. But that's what it is. Like, and coming to Grand Lodge, and getting the texts from
Where are you at?
pick
What are
one.
you doing?
Yeah. Taylor Kleinecker, Hessler, or, Mike Miller, or, name a bunch of guys, and being able to walk through here. And yeah, it is fun.
Know everybody.
Deanna Kinney's. I don't know. Why do you keep coming back?
I'm here for the brotherhood. 100%. I would not keep doing this stuff if it wasn't for guys like you guys and Brother Gabriel giving me a good time and giving me a reason to come back, because I'm definitely not here for the hours of introductions and rating of the minutes.
Well, the thing, I think one of the benefits of this and travel in general and connecting in general is, I think the big mistake we all make is thinking that masonry somewhere is the same as masonry everywhere. And so coming to here, you end up talking to brethren and find out that, oh, they do things different. It was here that I realized the two best ways to start a fight in Ohio Masonry. The first, of course, is to go up to a Mason in Lodge and say, hey, do you want to fight? The second best is to go up at Grand Lodge and ask them this question. So you are sitting as master, opening up in Master Mason. Okay. So you're in the opener. You decide to close your eyes and rap twice. You open up your eyes. How many brethren should be standing up when you open your eyes?
It's a good fight.
How many brethren should be standing up?
Technically 3.
Yeah. Good to see ya. How you doing? I'm Sammy.
2? Oh, well, yeah.
It's the master.
You're absolutely right. You're right.
Or
Unless you're in this district,
right.
the second district, which is all officers of the lodge stand, not
Right.
just Master Mason,
And it's about half the state.
including in many places, including the LEO.
Right.
Any officer.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And any appointed or elected officer. And yes, and guys will argue, well, this is the way it's supposed to be. This is the way it's supposed to be. And Dave and I have had many conversations about, well, where in the code does it say that?
Right.
Where in the ritual does it say that?
Right.
And the third way to start a good fight is, which way do you wear your ring?
Oh,
Yeah, God, we're not even going there.
that's just mean.
Yeah.
That's just mean at that point. So,
So last question.
Sure.
I don't want to keep you guys. I'm
oh God,
sure you got a million other people to.
do we? All right.
I don't know. Any advice for Masons of the future?
How far in the future are we talking about?
Let's say 50 years.
Because he was going to go like 200 years. I was going to say like avoid the moving sidewalks or, make
Don't-
sure,
Avoid the moving
invest,
cars.
invest in plutonium or something. 50 years from now. That's odd. Because this is kind of to your point. Because 50 years ago was what, 1974? And what were the brethren talking about then? They were talking about membership. They're talking about quality of ritual and like making Masons versus, making members. They were talking about education. They're talking about 74. So at that point, it was also generational stuff. If you go into the proceedings, and I'm telling brethren they need to do this, is go into the proceedings of Grand Lodge and just read like the different reports or the different like speeches. It's really fascinating what guys are concerned about, and the different issues that are there. So, and to your point, you said earlier, it's a lot of the same concerns, but it's people are trying to find different solutions. I guess I would say my advice would be that in general, the best solutions tend to come from the bottom up. The best solutions tend to be individualized for that brother in that lodge. And I would say that, looking for big, huge, overarching solutions, you're never going to find one that fits every brother in every lodge. And so it really comes down to like one brother, one moment, one handshake, one meaningful connection at a time. And I think if the brethren are focusing on that now, 50 years from now, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. I mean, my advice, I think, would be the same for tomorrow as it would be 50 years from now or 100 years from now, which is just never stop learning. And that, and I don't mean in the classical learning of education. That's important. But to the point that Chad is making about learning your history, your lodge history, learning your jurisdictional history, knowing what has been done before, because chances are somebody's tried it. And if you can learn from their mistakes and not reinvent the wheel, we're going to be better off. And I think, I think unfortunately, that's what we've done That's the reason we go back 100 years and see the exact same thing as we keep reinventing the wheel over and over.
Well, look at what we learned at the Midwest Conference this year. Like everyone was trying so much of the same things, and just to kind of talk like, oh, wait, you tried with him? Yeah. So,
and don't be afraid to try something that's never been tried before.
right.
That may be the one nail that finally locks it down.
I love it. That's some fantastic advice.
Cool.
Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate your time.
All right.
And enjoy the rest of Grand Lodge.
All right, thank you.
And for our next guest, we have Brother Daniel D. Hrinko. Welcome to the show, brother.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Are you having a good time at Grand Lodge this year?
I am. I've been an Ohio Mason for almost 48 years and spent a lot of time at Grand Lodge and enjoy the people I meet from around the state and around the country.
Absolutely. So based off what we've been talking about, you are an author.
I am. I've published 3 books that's available through McCoy.com. And what they are about are the experiences we've had in Hilliard, Ohio, with forming a brand new lodge. And what makes our lodge unique is that even though we follow the same rules as every other lodge in Ohio, what we have done is we started with a clean white sheet of paper and designed what we felt would be the most powerful, moving, and effective Masonic experience for the members, as well as education programs for the candidates. We then took this idealized version of the lodge, overlaid the rules of the Grand Lodge of Ohio, and we were awarded our dispensation 15 years ago in 2009 in this very building.
Wow.
And received our charter the following year. And since then, our lodge has doubled in size, and we have around an 80% retention rate of men we raise staying active in the lodge because of the intentionality of everything we do, ritualistically, socially, administratively, and educationally.
Wow.
And what I've done is I've taken that whole experience and condensed it into what right now is 3 books. The first book is called The Craft-Driven Lodge, and it was published in 2014. And what it does is it outlines principles that you can use to operate and develop a lodge. You can take an existing lodge and use these principles to have discussions on clarifying what it is you want from your lodge experience, what you can do to go about building that lodge experience over time, and making use of the talent available in your lodge most effectively so brothers are actively engaged, contributing, and benefiting from that. The second book is called The Purple of the Fraternity, and it is, in essence, servant leadership cast in Masonic terms. Because you'll notice that our organization is structured in a hierarchical, almost medieval feudal system, where people with title and positions are given almost, open quotes, unlimited power, close quotes, that are supposed to be moderated by the teachings and lessons of the craft. Humans, being as flawed as we are, we sometimes fall prey to that. Temptation for adulation, power, control, and that leads to some pretty bad things that we often find embarrassing. So what I've done is I've taken the structure of Freemasonry and offered a handbook as to how you can functionally operate as an egalitarian set of equals. So even though you have titles and positions, you function like an equal collaborative of men working towards a common goal.
Okay.
The third book, just recently out, is called From Man to Mason, A Transformation Through Education. And what it's based upon is the premise that our rituals are amazing, phenomenal, and emotionally moving. And they are an essential element of becoming a Mason, but they are not sufficient for that full transformation. It's like you going through your ritual work and voila, you've graduated kindergarten and now you're ready for a real education. Do you stop there or do you keep learning? So what this book does is it provides an opportunity to be able to explore all the opportunities of what a lodge or brother can, I think, should do to provide a thorough Masonic education to a man as he progresses through his Masonic career. It's based upon the system we use at Arts and Sciences Lodge in Hilliard, Ohio, and it's about a 2-year process from the time that you say, I'm interested in being a Mason, until you're actually proficient as a Master Mason. Now, that's not because we're slow. It's because we're thorough. We cover a lot of material. And this book will allow a lodge to read through this idealized version of what an educational curriculum could look like and start picking and choosing elements that they think would help their lodge do a better job of training men to be Masons. And it is this education that I believe accounts for our high level of growth, activity, and retention rates.
So it sounds like you guys have found the secret sauce.
We have found a version of a sauce that works for us. Now, this is one of the things that's really clear. It's easy for anyone to come up with a checklist. Here's 30 things you can do to be a cool lodge, okay? But the list of 30 things that I find valuable for my lodge is going to be a little different than your list. So rather than doing the easy thing of here's a list of things to do and you go out and your lodge emulates everything we do, i.e. making clones. That doesn't really work because if you're a clone, you're just putting on somebody else's suit.
Absolutely.
Okay? The principles outlined in the Craft-Driven Lodge give you a process to where you custom tailor your own lodge for your group of brothers. It also means that if you continue repeating this process, as you should, then as your lodge grows, new men join, other men move on, the character of the lodge is able to evolve and become a living, breathing, dynamic entity that is relevant to the men in that lodge at any point in time.
So it's more of a list of recommendations, a place to start with, and you take it and form it into what's going to work for your lodge, for your brothers, for your community. That's
Yeah, the principles give you a process. I mean, the principles are really simple on the surface. You know, the first one is to make sure that everybody has a voice. So everybody involved has an opportunity to get their ideas into the decision-making process. Now, that's not as easy as it seems, particularly in an organization with a structure and a history of being controlling. My own experiences back in the 80s as being a junior officer in a lodge was a question such as, why don't we fill in the blank? And the response was often, shut up. When you're master, you can do that.
Or my personal favorite, this is how we've always done it.
Yeah.
Just don't do that.
Exactly. And there was never a sufficient answer for me.
No, it's not.
And it shouldn't be acceptable to anybody, and no responsible lodge leader ought to be offering that kind of a response.
Right.
So the first principle is find a way to give everybody a voice. The second principle is to develop a clear vision as to what you want, so you know what the goal is. We want a lodge that is like this. Now, we chose an intensely powerful educational experience. So if someone comes to us and says they want to be very heavily involved in charity and community work, well, there are other lodges that do a lot more of that. Now, we are charitable, we are engaged in the community, but we see that as a byproduct of making good Masons.
Yeah.
A good Mason understands the value of being charitable and involved in a community, therefore they will. But it's not our job to be a charity. It's our job to make Masons. That's what our charter says, to make Masons. And that, in my opinion, is far more than just running them through the ritual and memorizing a perfunctory set of questions and answers that you don't really comprehend the deeper meanings.
Absolutely. And I will say, even being in the 11th district, Arts and Science Lodge is legendary up there for your educational programs. I know that several of our brothers love to travel down and visit when you guys are putting things on, and that will definitely be on Gabe and mine's list very soon. But it sounds like you have the blueprint for exactly what you need, at least somewhere to start. Because I know right now, everybody's coming back from COVID. Things are a little difficult. You know, some of these guys aren't coming back. We might have to start looking to grabbing that younger generation a little bit younger than we normally would maybe this is a good spot to start with.
Well, anytime there is a traumatic event, you've got the downside, which is healing from the trauma and rebuilding a sense of stability. On the other hand, it's an opportunity to consider shifting gears and directions. So as a district deputy grand master, I would be inspecting a lodge and I'd say, how big is your lodge? And they'd say 150 people. And I'd say, no, how many butts are in the seats? That's how big your lodge really is. Okay. You've got that many members, but your lodge is the men in the room who are saying, I'm willing to invest time to get something from my Masonic experience. And I'm willing to contribute to that. Because see, that's the third principle. Make sure that everybody in the room has a job. There should be no such thing as officers do the work and everybody else is a spectator. If that's the case, why get off your couch, clean up, and go to lodge?
Right.
Okay? But if you have a job, a duty, a responsibility, then you feel a need to know that if you're not there, you will be missed.
Yeah.
And therefore, keeping attendance up is easier. Plus, not everybody has the skill set or desire to do the officer thing. So what skills do they have? And how can that skill be applied to the benefit of the lodge? That is an interesting question. So, in our opening, we talk about that the master sets the craft to work. He gives them directions. You need to do this. You need to do that.
Right.
So what is the work of the lodge? Well, the work of the lodge is administrative. That's easy. It's ritualistic. That's easy. But it's also that concept of building an environment where the philosophy of Masonry can be taught. Okay? EA says we come to improve ourselves in Masonry. Where else do you learn Freemasonry except in lodge?
Yeah.
So the lodge needs to be making teaching Freemasonry a high priority. And that is part of how do you find men in your lodge who can teach that? How do you find men in your lodge who can support a social event where friendships that are multidimensional can be built? Which puts a lot of burden on the leadership.
Right.
And that's the fourth principle, is the leaders let the workers work. It's easy to say, I'll do it because it's quick and easy. It's hard to train someone else to do it, to organize, to teach, and to facilitate them. But if you're doing all the work and they're not, well, then why come? So if you invest your time in teaching and training new brothers, all the opportunities in a lodge to be part of this lodge, then they will be there, they'll be contributing, they'll tell their friends about what they're getting out of their Masonic experiences, and they'll be able to feel at home. It's kind of like a family by choice. In fact, I was just talking yesterday about putting together a compilation of essays from various people on how a good Masonic lodge is a family by choice, and to invite people to submit essays to put into this edited volume on describing all the ways that this concept really comes home. So
I really like that. I myself, I've said many times on this show that, I was an only child. I don't really have family. I got to pick my brothers, and I'm honored to say that I have some good ones.
Mm-hmm.
But this sounds like an absolutely phenomenal topic that I would love to have you on the show and go into depth about. But real quick, brother, can you let the audience know where they can find these books so they can start using them in their lodge repertoire?
Well, obviously, if you're here at the Grand Lodge of Ohio, I've got a table down the hallway, but that's not likely for anybody who's listening to this. The primary source I direct everybody to is directly to McCoy.com, and all three books are published by McCoy. And so I have the benefit of professional editors, professional book designers, to put out the best product out there, encapsulating and expressing these ideas. And so it's, www.macoy.com. And you can order them all from there. And I think next couple of days, the Man to Mason's on sale. So
Perfect. Well, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate all your time. And that is Brother Daniel Hrinko. You can find him at the website that he's spoken. Thank you, brother.
thank you.
And now we have Deanna Kinney from the Ohio Masonic Communities Resource Center. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
So I see you guys have a pretty cool booth sitting over here. It kind of caught my eye. For those of us in the 11th Masonic District, we're pretty familiar with the Masonic communities from Browning Home.
Yes,
But you're specifically from the resources.
we are.
So what is it that you guys provide?
Well, the Resource Center provides information and referral to Masons, their wives, widows, and Eastern Star members all over the state. And we help them find services in their community so they can stay in their homes independently.
That's pretty cool. I don't think a lot of people know that those resources exist.
Right.
So what kind of things are you guys able to do for people that reach out for help?
Well, we can link folks to like home health. If we know that somebody is in the hospital and they're about to be discharged, we can work with the hospital discharge planner or social worker and make sure that they go home with services. Because a lot of people get discharged from the hospital on a Friday afternoon with nothing.
Yeah. I work in healthcare, so I am very familiar with the discharge process, and sometimes you're scrambling to find somebody that can pick up that patient, take care of them, and I know a lot of people just don't have it, so then they're stuck paying these humongous bills to these private ambulance companies, or finding somewhere random that will just take them. So that's really cool to hear that there's a resource like that out there for Masons.
Yes. We do a lot of things. We listen a lot. I don't know how many times we've heard from our clients, you're the first live human being I've spoken to this month.
Really?
Yes.
Because they're just on the phone.
Because they don't get phone calls or visits. We also have the emergency assistance program, which is my favorite because a lot of people don't know that we do that, but we provide financial assistance to people who are Masonically affiliated. We can help with gas cards if somebody's going back and forth to cancer treatments. We can help with food cards. We've paid utilities, rent, things like that, car repair, tires.
So really anything somebody might need if they were in an emergency situation.
Yes.
That is really cool. Like I said, a lot of people don't know that these resources are available. And it's just nice to see that it's going on. So let's just say that I wanted to get involved and help out with the Resource Center. How can I do that?
Well, we have a statewide volunteer program. We currently have close to 400 volunteers around the state. They are Masons, Eastern Star, spouses, adult children of Masons or Eastern Star, and they're divided up by districts. So currently, of the 25 districts in Ohio, 21 have volunteer committees.
Wow.
Each committee has a committee chairman that is the liaison between their coordinator and the volunteers. So like in the 11th district where you are, the coordinator's Raquel Brown. So the volunteers in that area would work with Raquel to get services to clients.
So somebody could call and say, I need help fixing my gutter.
Yep.
And you guys would reach out to somebody on that list that knows how to fix gutters or has some kind of a construction experience, and they would go out and help for no charge.
Right. Or if it were something a little more complicated, then we may utilize the emergency assistance program to pay for a professional to come in to do that.
Fix the problem.
Yes. And maybe that widow, if it's a widow, doesn't want to be at home alone when the person comes to give the estimate. So maybe a volunteer will go and sit with her during that time.
Safe.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's say you're somebody that needs help from the Resource Center. How can they get in contact with you?
Well, they would call the toll-free number. It is 877-881-1623. Or they can get online, reach out to their coordinator directly. They can even call their lodge secretary. And then they can put them in touch with their coordinator.
That's awesome. So it's a really easy process too.
Very.
Cool.
Very.
Well, if you are ever in any need or help, reach out to the Resource Center. Thank you so much for being on the show today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And for our next guest, go ahead and introduce yourself, brother.
I'm Shane Strzelczyk. I'm from Perrysburg, Ohio, and I'm a member of Barton Smith Lodge number 613.
Barton Smith. Another one from my district. Absolutely love it. So far, how's your experience with Grand Lodge going?
I always enjoy coming to Grand Lodge. It's always a good time, and being a part of this brotherhood and getting to help make all the decisions for the state and everything like that. It's always a good time and really important to be a part of.
It was definitely interesting to be able to sit down and watch things happen and be able to watch the voting happen in action. Like, I know we see it in our lodge room all the time, but seeing it on this scale was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, when you got 1,000 guys voting, it's just a whole other level of experience.
Absolutely insane. So, other than that, anything interesting happened so far at Grand Lodge? Anything notable?
For me, not two bits today. I couldn't make it down yesterday, unfortunately.
Oh,
So
you drove down here today?
yeah, I had to come down today.
It's a long drive. So, what made you decide to join Masonry?
I have a long family history of it. My dad, grandfather, great grandfather goes way back. So it was always kind of a part of us. Like, I saw all the stuff around the Bibles and stuff like that. So over time, it just kind of piqued my interest. And one day I went and asked my grandfather, "Hey, tell me about this." And
Happy to tell you.
Yep.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. I found out after I joined DeMolay and after I joined Masonry that my great-grandfather and my grandfather were Masons. I would have never known had I known what I was looking for, but it's just absolutely crazy how it, it's like it runs in the blood sometimes.
Oh yeah.
So what's your favorite thing about Masonry?
It's really just the brotherhood. I love traveling around and just meeting other Masons. It's always a great time. It's all going to be like-minded people. And so whenever you go somewhere, whether it's brand new to you or you've been there 1,000 times, you instantly have friends.
You're going to have a new whole adventure every time you go somewhere.
Yep.
And you make new friends along the way. For my next question, if you had to give advice to a Mason 50 years from now, what would you tell him?
Learn as much as you can. There's so many parts of Freemasonry, whether it's the history or the meaning behind everything. Really dive into it, because the farther you can dive into it, the more you can learn, the more you'll get out of it, and the more you'll enjoy it.
Couldn't have said it better myself, brother. Well, we'd like to appreciate you by saying thank you for coming on the Third Degree Masonic podcast, and we look forward to seeing you on your travels, considering you're in our district.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, Craftsman, we hope you've enjoyed hearing stories from all of the participants at Grand Lodge and some of the people that were willing to come over and get on the microphone. Brother Gabriel and I are currently back at Genoa Lodge. We have unpacked all of our things, and we are currently sitting back and relaxing and finally being able to exhale for the first time in 48 hours. We figured we'd just hop on and maybe talk about some stuff we didn't get to talk about on the microphone, some cool stuff we got to see. So what did you think of Grand Lodge this year, brother?
Well, so far, this has been my second time going to Grand Lodge. Both times I've been a voting member, and especially now sitting in the East, I kind of really appreciate that. The first time as junior warden, it was kind of lost on me a little bit. I wouldn't say lost on me, but I didn't really appreciate it as much as I did this time. There was a great turnout of brethren. Lots of participation, lots of in-depth participation during the voting, making sure that everything was taken care of and making sure that brothers had their voices heard during the session. And I think that's really important.
I think the session, I mean, you know me, I'm not big into the pomp and the, minus the fact that there's about 45 minutes of introductions. I mean, I personally feel that's not necessary, but I understand why we do it. It's all to thank these guys for doing a lot of hard work. They deserve their moment in the spotlight. But I feel like the session, once we got into things, was talking about the legislation and all that stuff, I felt like it went by quick. I mean, we were just sitting up there watching it. This. Are we voting on yes or no? And then everybody only got 2 minutes to talk, which was really cool. And they were very, very honest about 2 minutes. Didn't matter who they were. Whether you were just a member of a lodge or you were a recent past Grand Master, you got 2 minutes to talk.
Mhm.
And they cut people off. I mean, they were just like, and you're done.
Well, because we needed to keep going. They established that up front with you have 2 minutes. And if your 2 minutes are up, we've got to move on.
Got to move. And I mean, it was pretty impressive. There was some really, while we can't talk about it, there was some really dicey legislature that came up that really could have changed a lot of things.
Yeah.
I mean, good or bad. And the fun part is you and I are sitting there talking about it, and you and I didn't always agree on them. But it was interesting to see how we both looked at things from a different lens of things. Because I was not a voting member. I could not vote. But there were things I would have voted yes on that you voted no on, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really neat. And the fact that we were, every time they did one of these sessions, we were about 30 minutes early every time.
Oh, yeah. No, the despite some technical difficulties with the voting clickers, which was unexpected, Grand Lodge was pretty well organized and flowed very efficiently. People kept to the time frame. People got to lunch early. It was a great, well orchestrated event, when normally these types of events, no matter where you go for what you're doing, generally aren't that well coordinated.
No, I think they even started late. We did start late. I think they originally planned for 8, and I don't think we kicked off until 8:30 or so.
Well, getting 3,000 Masons together is like herding the largest herd of cats you've ever had in your life.
Yeah. So I mean, that was really cool. And part of this though too, this is my first Grand Lodge. I have never gone, and I've been a Mason for 10 years. I've never been to Grand Lodge. I've just never had any interest in going.
It's fun though.
I really did. I really had a good time. I think I will, as long as work permits next year, I think I would go again.
Especially since it'll be in Kalahari and it'll be right in our backyard, basically.
Absolutely. And also, it was really cool that our own brother, right worshipful brother, I'll call him, but he's just brother here, Brother Syme, was elected to Grand Orator.
Yes. That
was really cool.
Technically, it was an appointment.
But still, same thing. I mean, he's moving up. He's getting to a point. It just shows he's doing a phenomenal job as a Grand Officer.
He is. He does a phenomenal job as our treasurer, as our lodge brother, and as a Grand Line Officer.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't. It's so hard to imagine being in that kind of position and having all of that responsibility, because he works so hard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's got a very, very cool job as an airline pilot. I can only imagine doing that and then being a active member of Grand Lodge, and also, as much as he can, an active member of our lodge.
Absolutely. So. But you'll, if everything falls out right, you'll be sitting in the East during, if he is so elected, when he becomes Grand Master of the state of Ohio, you will have to open Grand Lodge.
Oh, that's terrifying. I saw them. I can only imagine.
It's very nerve-wracking. The brothers who open Grand Lodge, they know their stuff, but it's nerve-wracking to do that
because you're doing it
such a large crowd of other brothers.
1,000 Masons.
Yeah,
and every single one of them, there's at least 75% of them are past masters going, well, they didn't do that right. That's not the right word. All jokes, craftsman.
All jokes.
But no, if everything works out, we got a long ways before I got to start worrying about that. But overall, I had a blast.
Overall, Grand Lodge, the actual work part was good. But I think one of the greatest parts was the interaction part. The parts where we were there at our booth for the podcast, talking with people who are at Grand Lodge, and we just met Masons from all over the state.
Absolutely.
Guys who I had never met before, or who I'd only ever seen on Facebook, or got to meet them in person, got to meet brand new brothers. It was quite the time.
I really enjoyed two big things. One of them is we actually got to meet in person Brother Hall, who I'm sure most of you craftsmen who have seen these episodes before know that, Brother Hall really helped us out in the beginning, and he's a close friend of this podcast, and we can't say enough nice things about him, but it was nice. We've never met in person. He came right over to our table, came right behind, we took a picture, like, he was just so happy for us, and we'll give him the, we'll have to return the favor one of these days. That was really cool. And I think my other favorite part was just hearing people say, "Oh, I've heard of you guys." Like, I haven't listened to your show, but I've heard of you guys.
That's like, that in and of itself made me
cool.
It was really cool. But I'll tell you what, having so many new people come to the podcast because they saw us there and they said, "Oh yeah, I like listening to Masonic podcasts," and they gave us a subscription, they gave us a like, they wanted to participate. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and to see a lot of the guys from our own district just stop by to support us. That was a lot of fun.
It was nice having our district deputy grandmaster stop by and shake our hands.
That was cool. We could give him a bottle of water. That was fun. I mean, overall, it was a good time. It was definitely something that I will be remembering for next year and look forward to. I mean, I understand why people say Grand Lodge is such a good time now. Yeah. I was always like, why would you want to go sit through 6 hours? It's like going to a lodge meeting where they read the minutes for 6 hours. Why would I want to do that? I get it now. Like, you got to get through the business part of it, but that's where the things that are going to change the shape of the fraternity happens. That's where you're going to meet the people that are the movers and the shakers, or just the people that are going to be your friends from, down the line. You never know who you're going to meet. And we met so many interesting people that my head's still spinning on it.
Absolutely. And I think what was nice is we got to give back to those brothers who were there, because we, thanks to masongear.com, got to do a raffle to our new subscribers while we were there. Yeah. Anyone who could prove that they were already subscribed to us or signed up while they were there got entered in for a chance to win a free Mason Gear hat. And we had
I loved it.
We had 6 raffle winners, and they were over the moon about it because they thought it was great stuff, and every Mason loves getting free stickers and free stuff, so they were thrilled about that.
I wish they weren't trying to kick us out of the vendor area so quick because they had to do the dinner for the Grand Line officers. But, we were packing up in a hurry by the time these guys were showing up and we were giving away stuff. We just didn't have a chance to get a couple of the guys' pictures because everybody was in such a rush. But we got a couple of them.
Oh, yeah.
Find them on our Facebook. But overall, I think Grand Lodge was a big success, and I'm optimistic for the future. Hopefully, maybe some of these new people that we found while we were there, maybe they'll pass the word along about the podcast, and maybe we'll grow a little bit more.
What was nice was having a secretary of one of the lodges that we had sent letters to come by and say, "Oh yeah, I've heard of you guys because we read your stuff out in meeting, and a couple of our brothers were interested in it."
That's really cool. Overall, I had a blast, and I look forward to it again, hopefully. And once again, I do have to say thank you to masongear.com. Thanks for all of the cool swag, the amazing stickers, everything we could give away while we were there. People loved your stuff, brother. In fact, if any of the listeners on here are interested in picking up some of this cool Mason Gear products, we actually have a very cool discount code just for the podcast. We don't get any money from it. We don't get any of the proceeds from it. It's just because we support this guy. He's been so good to us. So, craftsmen, if you feel so inclined, that is on www.masongearshop.com. And you can use the code 3RDEGREEPOD357. And that will get you a discount.
So, craftsmen, we really hope any of you that were there enjoyed Grand Lodge as much as we did. For any craftsmen of other jurisdictions, we hope that your Grand Lodges go just as well. And for any prospective craftsmen in the future. We hope that our stories will kind of help you maybe decide to think that, oh, maybe I would like to be part of that and ask to join. So, craftsmen, we always enjoy bringing these stories to you and bringing these topics to you. So we really appreciate you tuning in.
And remember, craftsmen,
Keep your working tools in order.
and always be on the level.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast do not reflect those of the Grand Lodge of Ohio. They only reflect the opinions of the hosts or guests.